The following thrilling story is presented for your enjoyment. This classic work is now in the public domain, making it freely available to be shared and appreciated by all. Some elements may appear outdated or insensitive by today's standards, but we present this work in its original form to preserve its historical context and literary significance. Sit back, relax, and indulge in this timeless tale. Please like, comment, subscribe, and share. Every bit helps this channel grow.
The Watery Ghost by Unknown. From Beware No. 8, March 1954. The sea holds secrets beyond the grave. This world from time immemorial has witnessed occurrences which none of the mortal senses can explain. Do the dead float in a spirit world about us and take human shape again when the occasion arises? Who knows? There are skeptical men who affirm that ghost stories result from mere idle imagining from an overexcited brain or a too hearty meal. Many hard-headed realists hold that such things as ghosts do not exist. Others, like the late Harry Houdini, Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, and Charles Fort, have tried to solve these seemingly inexplicable phenomena. Houdini was especially successful in analyzing ghost images, and had he lived about 100 years earlier, at the time when a ghost appeared on the yacht Mascot, he might have found the reason for the apparition. As it is, the strange story of the Mascot and its uninvited guest has never been solved by human explanation. The 220-ton yacht, owned by Charles Bates and skippered by John Ambrose, lay becalmed one evening in 1820 off the coast of Northumberland, England. The vessel had been built 8 years before by the order of Sir David West and was now concluding her first cruise under new ownership. Sir David had sold her with the intention of acquiring a new steam yacht. On board were two guests named St. John and Captain George. It was a warm, beautiful night. A full moon silvered the sea, and not a ripple disturbed the calm face of the water. The air was balmy and clear. Bates and St. John were below decks writing in the salon when Captain George came down to speak to them. Opening the door, he was surprised to see a third man with them, seated at the head of the table, and wearing the badge of the Royal Yacht Squadron in his cap. Bates and St. John, hearing the door open, looked up from their writing. They wondered at Captain George's expression of fearful surprise, and following the direction of his eyes, they beheld simultaneously an image which made them rise nervously from their chairs. The skin began to crawl at the base of their necks, and cold shivers of dread crept along each man's spine. Immediately, the figure faded from view. The trio stood spellbound for a moment. Then, starting forward, they carefully examined the chair which had been so mysteriously occupied and suddenly vacated. Its back and seat were drenched, and the water was forming a pool on the floor. Bates had occupied the seat at dinner, but there had been no water on the table. Now, attempting to mop up the pool, the astonished trio discovered that the water was salt. None of the group believed in ghosts, so, by mutual consent, it was agreed to keep the incident a secret, in order not to alarm the crew, as seamen are notoriously superstitious. 24 hours later, beset by drifts, the Mascot had gone only as far as the coast of Brighton. Again, it was a glorious evening with soft breezes and limpid moonlight. Bates, St. John, and George were seated, chatting idly on deck when suddenly Bates pointed to the taffrail, and an unearthly chill swept over all three men. For there, leaning over the rail, was the figure of their strange visitor of the previous night. But before the astonished men could utter a word, the man appeared to have fallen over the side, and a loud splash was heard. A deckhand who was busy nearby heard the splash and sang out, "Man overboard!" A boat was lowered and searched the area, but no body was found. To prevent idle gossip, owner Bates gave out the theory that some tackle had fallen over. By the following evening, however, the weather had changed. The Mascot was breezing past Fort Norman when a dark object, having the appearance of an overturned canoe, was sighted bobbing up and down to starboard of the vessel. A boat was lowered to investigate. It returned carrying a dead body. The face of Skipper Ambrose went white when he saw it. The body was that of the Mascot's former owner, Sir David West. But the skipper's astonishment was nothing compared to the shock suffered by Bates, St. John, and George. The body taken from the sea was, without doubt, that of the mysterious visitor of the salon and the foredeck. Even the cap with its RYS badge was still there. when, on the following day, a boat was sent ashore to acquaint the authorities with the mascot's gruesome find. The following news was given Bates. Sir David West had been in the Solent on his steam yacht during the past week, but for the last 3 nights had been missing. He was last seen going down one of the many sets of steps on Ryde Pier. It had been learned that his launch was waiting for him farther up the coast, and the discovery of his disappearance led all to believe that he had fallen into the sea and drowned. The authorities agreed that it was an extraordinary coincidence that, with a score of vessels about, Sir David's body had drifted unerringly to his former yacht. No one doubted the authorities. The theory of extraordinary coincidence was accepted. But what of the apparition the 3 perfectly sane men saw on board the Mascot? Was it mass hallucination? Even today's most competent psychiatrists would call it unlikely that 3 men would have suffered from the same hallucination at the same time under such normal circumstances. And even if they had, what of the water on the chair and the floor? Chalk up another mystery in this strange world of ours. Metaphysicians insist that there is an unseen world of beings about us, that the departed sometimes come back before the eyes of the living. Perhaps they are right. Who knows?